I can do the roll call for you.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to call the meeting to order. We ready, guys?
Yep.
Yeah. To make a motion to call the meeting to order, please.
I move we call the meeting to order.
A second.
Mr. Chairman, you want me to do the roll call?
Yes, please.
All right. Member Robertson?
Here.
Member Duncan?
Aye.
Member Cheney?
Here.
Chairman Brophy?
Here.
Myrna, we have a quorum. And I just remind everyone, if you're up here talking, make sure you turn the microphone on so the folks out in internet land can hear us. So, and same thing with folks up here.
All right. Can we all go ahead and stand for the pledge and salute the flag, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Thank you, everybody. All right. Roll call. Declarations of conflict of interest, anything?
Chairman Brophy, you might just want to mention the item below.
Oh, yeah. Okay, guys, so I am going to recuse myself today. I'm going to ask for some lodger's tax money to help fund my up-and-coming disc golf tournament, the Lincoln County War. It's the largest disc golf tournament in New Mexico, so I will be recusing myself when that line item comes up, okay? And I'll be passing it over to Mr. Cheney to fill in for me. I think that would be our only thing, huh? All right, moving on. Certification of compliance with Resolution 2022-01.
Mr. Chairman, this body is in compliance with Resolution 2022-01.
All right, very good. I would like a motion for approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, moving on. Let's approval of the minutes for the regular meeting, November 22nd, 2022.
Mr. Chairman, you need a vote for the approval of the agenda. So there's a motion to approve the agenda. Roll call. Member Robertson?
Aye.
Member Duncan?
Aye.
Member Cheney?
Aye.
Chairman Brophy?
Aye,
All right.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we approve the minutes of the regular meeting on November 22nd, 2022.
Okay,
Second.
All right. Roll call to approve the minutes of regular meeting November 22nd, 2022. Member Robertson?
Aye.
Member Duncan?
Aye.
Member Cheney?
Aye.
Chairman Brophy?
aye.
All right. Motion passes.
Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chairman, with the committee's approval, if you want, you can maybe rearrange the agenda to move on. So while we're waiting for Judy in the financial report, it's totally at your discretion.
Yeah, we can do that. I'm fine with that. All right. I guess we'll just move right on into new business. I guess this is where I'll recuse myself and turn the gavel over to Mr. Cheney real quick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll accept the gavel. So we want to hear from Mr. Brophy related to new business, discussion and possible action of funding for the Lincoln County War Disc Golf Tournament. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. I am very appreciative. Okay, everybody, so Dynamic Discs New Mexico hosts the largest disc golf tournament in the state of New Mexico. It is the Lincoln County War. This year will be a 3-day, 3-course event We will be using the Ruidoso Convention Center for our players' party, our vendors' village. We will have food trucks. We will have hopefully some alcohol vendors. We will have a dozen of the world's best disc golf players here for the event, signing autographs, doing tutorials, clinics. Throughout the event, we have grown every single year tremendously. I don't foresee it slowing down anytime soon. I think that we will hopefully get close to the 400 player mark this year. And I am seeking funding from Lodgers Tax today to help marketing, advertising, and, securing a venue.
Ever, what are the dates proposed?
It is going to be March 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Thank you. So this is our first go, right?
So this is the third annual.
Third.
But this is my first time to ask for additional funding for the event. I have done everything out of pocket prior to, but with the amount of pros that are coming and needing an indoor venue opposed to making my players stand outside all day long in the wonderful March weather that we have here, and then asking them to attend the players' party and vendors' villages at Wingfield Park back out in the open for the day. Hence why I'm here to ask for some additional funding so I can spend my resource money on securing the convention center. Yeah.
Any questions for Mr. Brophy? No? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we fund the $5,000 that is being asked for the disc golf tournament.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. Please roll call.
Member Robertson,
Aye.
Member Duncan,
Aye.
Member Cheney.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And with that, I'll turn the gavel back over to Everett Brophy, the chair.
Thank you. Too wide to fit behind there. Jeez. I know, just a bull in a china closet this morning. Okay, thank you, Mr. Cheney. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and jump back and let's talk about that financial report. Ms. Judy?
Yes, Chairman, included is just a preliminary largest tax report in your packet. And the only reason is we have not closed our December month. So the only thing that will change or could be some of the expenditures, they might go up a little bit, but for the majority of the report, it will stay the same. So at the end of December, we had collected $183,541 in lodgers tax. And that was a little bit lower than we had the prior December. The prior December was over 200,000. So it was a little bit down. However, overall, if you look at comparing the fiscal years through July through December, and you compare it to the prior year in '22, we're up $5,000. So we're up a little bit, which is good. But if you look at what we have collected compared to budget, we're over 63% collected of the budget at 2.3. So even though we're,
Do we have a copy of that?
I thought it was in the packet. Oh, no? Okay, let me go make some, I'll go make copies. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, apologies. We're in a transitional phase with the support for the lodgers tax, so we appreciate your flexibility and understanding.
No problem at all.
So I will mention while we're getting that copy that our minutes taker today, Myrna, was our employee of the quarter this.
Let's go,
so,
Myrna.
So
Come on. I mean, I seen it coming, but. Congratulations, that's very cool.
So just a side note too, this lodgers tax report, in addition to some other reports, our gross receipts tax is always published in a monthly report that's on our website. under my finance department webpage. So if you ever want to see how lodgers tax is progressing throughout the year, you can just go to that report.
Okay.
And I think they also have archived prior years. So if you want to see how the village is doing overall, it also gives all our construction projects, how much we've spent, the budgets on them. So the only problem with that report is by the time I close out the prior month and I publish it, we're already almost closing the next month. So you got to keep in mind that's a little bit different. Another little aspect of those reports is you got to remember that lodger's tax is on a 1-month lag, meaning that when you go to the hotel, you pay the tax, let's say in May, and then the lodger will send that money to us, so it's on a 1-month lag. When you're looking at GRT, we're actually on a 2-month lag. So when you go and pay the vendor in Midtown, he collects it in May, and then in June, he submits it to the state, and then in July, the village gets that money back. So if you're trying to compare month to month, you got to remember that you're going to have to allocate 1 or 2 months in order so that you're comparing apples to apples, so,
Fair enough, fair enough.
yeah.
Okay, and thank you for this.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a quick
Sure.
question? What would you attribute the shortfall that you see so far? You're saying you're down about $5,000 versus 2021 December?
Well, if you look, from 21 to 22, we increased almost 40%.
Yeah.
So, to try to keep up with another 40%
It's tough.
is tough.
Yeah.
So although we're down, when you're comparing this month, I think it was good to know that we're still growing at that same, we're still growing, but maybe not at that same rate.
See, I asked the question, I'm just wondering, do you communicate with lodgers and hotels about their trends through a particular
I
month?
believe that is one of the aspects of what the new tourism director is going to be
Okay.
doing. They're going to be a more feet on the ground, kind of getting the feel from all the lodgers to see what's going on in the market and stuff. But right now, last year in '21, everybody was coming out of COVID, so I would imagine that people were excited to get out and go somewhere from being cooped up in their houses. So now, I think it's kind of wearing off. However, we're still growing, just not at the same rate that we were growing in the prior year.
Yeah, and I speak to a lot of the lodgers about what they saw in December, and December was soft, and it took a while to book at Christmas. Typically, previous years, you could be booked solid for Christmas,
Okay?
early November. It was like December 15th before people started booking for Christmas. New Year's is always a good time. It doesn't really matter, but it's an impact of inflation and fuel costs. And
Do you
I'm
think the ski area, not having as many runs open
Correct.
would attribute to any of that?
Yeah, we speak to a lot of guests that'll walk in, and you can tell they've just come from the ski hills. So I always engage them. What was the snow like? What was, they don't have anything really nice to say about 2 runs because a lot of these guys are pretty good skiers. They came anyways, and,
It's great, yeah, family tradition typically,
Yeah,
huh? Something that they do all the time.
But I don't know what we do about that. It felt to me like the weather was cold enough that snow could be made constantly, and there must have been more snow on some of those runs, but I'm not privy to that information, so
Sure.
I just don't know. But I was just wondering if you were getting feedback from other lodgers, because it was a funny year. It really was a funny December. Finished strong, started slow.
And a couple of years ago, when you would look around town, you could tell when the busy seasons were. But now that it's all kind of commingled and people are coming all the time, it's kind of hard to figure out where the tourists are really coming and when the busy season is, because it seems like it's busy all the time now.
Well, there's so many more new events, just like
Yes.
this disc event. I
Yes.
mean, it's just, we're filling in so many gaps. It's great for the lodgers, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, yesterday we had our first workshop meeting for the marketing plan, and it was with the community stakeholders. And several of the lodgers said exactly the same thing, that they were slow in getting booked, but then come the actual holidays, they might have been slow like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but then after that, they were booked solid. But they all echoed the same sentiment, that it was just slower coming on this year.
Interesting.
We had a lot of cancellations because of the ski area. So, and I also heard that a groomer hit one of the pipes halfway up the mountain, and that's why they couldn't get a lot open, because their snowmaking was not available.
So maybe we could attribute it to poor management, poor mountain management.
Do you think?
I would.
It's probably better that way. Okay, so,
So if we can get back to the report. So
please.
this is just a report that shows you all the historical collections by month. And what you really want to look at is in the lower left-hand side, is a comparison of fiscal year 2023 to 22. And it gives you, that's where I'm finding the allocation of where we're up or down. And then the total budget, that percentage is what you want to look at. Since we're through December, technically, as long as you're over 50%, we're doing good. So we're at least 13% above where we should be based on budget. And then it just gives us some other year-to-date figures on penalties and interest. So most people pay on time, and now with the new Muni Rev system, people can go online and pay directly, so we don't have a lot of the penalties that we've had in the past. So that is the revenue part. And then if you go to the second page,
Mr. Chairman, excuse me a second,
Sure.
before you leave that page. You said we're 13% up, over 50%, but do we typically see at 50% this time of year, or because of the seasonality that we get?
So you usually do, because we usually budget the revenues low as it is. Budget revenue is low and expenditures high. So usually about that time, because the revenue projection is so low, you're usually pretty high. But this year, our budget, probably the 2.3 has been the highest since in my 9 years that I've been here. So even at that higher percentage, we're still above where we should be. So it's good.
Thank you. And then, do you do any kind of, call it reforecasting or whatever? So at this point in the year, do you take a look at the next 6 months and say, okay, some things have changed and we might need to be careful about how much we're spending and that kind of thing?
So what'll happen is each month, I'll start looking at the projections and see where it's coming in. Try to look at those trends. If we know that there really wasn't a lot of people here in December or whatever, I'll try to make a fidge or a plug to the expenses. But a lot of the money that's tied up in lodger's tax are on projects. So, we have some of the projects that we have budgeted funds for, but they may not have been started. So I got to take that into consideration. So if I know there's a $200,000 project that hasn't been started and will not start until April, then I probably know I don't have to make an adjustment, because that money's really not going to go out. So in short, I do look at it. We look at it all the way from October through the end of the year, and we try to make adjustments. If new expenditures come up, we do try to reduce other expenditure areas instead of cutting things totally out of the budget that were approved. We try to look at other things that we can delay or post to the new fiscal year. So it's a total kind of review almost monthly after mid-year.
Thank you.
So the next page is the expenditures, and as you know, based on our 5%, 40% of the lodger's tax proceeds have to be used on advertising, or what's called getting people heads in beds, and then the other 60% can be used on bricks and mortar projects and different things like that. So on that next page, you will see something called promotional, which is the 40%, and then non-promotional, which is considered the stuff outside the realm of heads and beds. So we have always spent more than the 40% required by statute, so we're always good on that. And what this does is show what the original budget was and what the current budget is and what we've paid year to date. Encumbered just means any open purchase orders that have been submitted to vendors but have not been paid out. So then it gives you a remaining budget and a percent used. So we want to make sure that the column Farthest to the right before the percentage is always positive. So you can see some of our expenditures that we do on the promotional side, the media planning, some of our visitor centers, the brochures, special events are actually funds set aside for new events that come along in the village that might need a little bit of help getting started. So you can see in that line item, there's 30,000 left. And then, of course, there's some non-promotional stuff that is more of project-based, like the ice rink was paid out of that section, the stage, some Eagle Creek parking lot, and you can see the balances and you can tell which projects have been started. So overall, right now, we've expended, if you look on the second page of expenditures, the grand total of expenditures paid out is 1.4 million, and we have 376,000 left. So we're doing good. Again, a lot of times we budget our expenditures high and we won't meet those budgeted amounts, so there could be budgeted savings. And then on the third page is the actual cash in the bank. And you could see at the end of December, there was $901,000 of lodger's tax monies in our checking account. It's good to know that we have 2 years to use lodger's tax proceeds, so that's why we have to usually spend the money to get rid of it. So, and we usually have no problem spending it, so,
No, that's right.
right? So, do you have any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, Judy, real quick question. So under non-promotional supplies, the signage category, is that the waymarking project? Is that what that
So
is?
it was Midtown, I believe it was a project Rodney had started. It was for Midtown, for some of the trails, signage at Grindstone, and different things like that. I can go, we'd probably have to go back to the minutes to see exactly what he had asked for, but that project hasn't gotten started, so that's why the money's just hanging over.
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
That it was for basically upgrading the signage and helping directional signage for people to use trail systems, find the restrooms,
Okay.
all that type
Great,
of
because I know we had started, I was on that, a couple calls related to that waymarking. I don't know if that is it.
Yeah, wayfinding,
That
there you
is
go,
it?
yeah.
Okay. So Matt, we might want to sit down and talk about that since there's money there and that project's kind of, we're halfway over the ditch, so to speak. So, cool.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Sure.
Any other questions for finance?
Just a point of order, do we need to approve this report? Excuse me.
I'd have to go back and look at the previous minutes, but I
They,
don't
they usually
believe
don't.
so.
They just-
It's
it's
just
just-
informational.
It's just
so.
informational,
Thank you.
yeah.
Should we just move right on forward now? And let's talk to my favorite people from Parks and Recreation Department.
Swing this one.
Chairman Brophy, members of the committee, thank you for having us today for quarterly update. I've given you all the handouts, and I will let Sydney go over the kind of quarterly report stuff, and then I'll go over the financials for the ice rink afterwards, just to kind of show where we're at and where your investment has gotten us.
All right, very good.
Good morning, everyone. So the quarterly update, we're starting in October. We kicked off October with the Aspen Festival, October 1st and 2nd. We partnered with the Chamber of Commerce with that one. And the ticket sales, just a rough, we had the pre-sales of about 137 tickets and the day of sales of 685 for that event. So despite the rain, it still had a pretty good turnout because we got dumped on for a good chunk of it as well.
I think it was a great event.
The Indigenous celebration was the 8th and 9th. We had about 25 vendors that were from different tribal affiliations. We had Largo dancers, we had entertainment throughout the thing, and it was a pretty well turned out event as well. Our Wingfield Market ended on October 22nd. We averaged about 20 vendors weekly, and that was a rotating cycle of vendors. So we had quite a few different ones that
Are we happy with Wingfield Market?
I think there's room to grow. I would really like to put a lot more energy getting farmers to come. We do have a lot of, our growing season's so short. I think we're gonna have to advertise out of just Ruidoso, Lincoln County, but that's kind of where I want it to go. We have plans to move it to that Midtown, to the Country Club lot in Midtown.
Okay.
And I think that will really help. This year, we, for the first time, incorporated yoga. We had a lot more music, so there was stuff to do. We tried to incorporate some of the community partners with that.
And we're hoping that moving it to Midtown, it brings that visibility.
Yes.
That country club lot brings the visibility of people coming in.
And it also brings people to that side of Midtown. It's kind of an anchor point on that sound, so you have people coming through both ends.
Very good.
Yes, so that's kind of the plan for that.
Reaching out to maybe some people in Cloudcroft, High Rolls, get some cherries, get some
Exactly.
apples, get some other types of,
Ex-
get some things here. Okay.
That is the hope for that. We had a few farmers, but that's still kind of where I want to see it going, is a lot more that sustainable grower is kind of the market.
Is that kind of on your plate, Sydney, as far as reaching out and finding those connections?
Yes.
Okay.
Then we went to the Midtown Trick or Treat on October 26th. That was another community effort with the,
That was my first week.
yeah. And Matt joined us that week.
Hey,
That was a community effort with RMA and the Chamber. RMA sold out at 257 pumpkins. They had 9 entries to the coffin race. We had a co-sponsor with Ozo Productions that sponsored our costume contest, and we had about 90 participants on that with the stage. It was a really, really fun event. The Wingfield Haunted Walk was October 29th and 30th, and we had 1,229 people go through that. So that was another fun community event. Rolling us into November, which we opened the ice rink on November 18th. I am going to let Matt speak a lot more of the finances on that. We had the Turkey Trot on November 26th, which had 53 participants. We do have,
I'm sorry,
sorry,
I'm not as familiar with the turkey trot.
yes.
What exactly is the turkey trot?
We let a whole bunch of turkeys know.
Yeah, sweet. That's what I was hoping for.
It is a 5K around the links on the Saturday near
Thank-
Thanksgiving. We had 50, normally the participant is a donation to the food bank. We do have plans to elevate all of our runs and do a run series. We have about 6 races that we host. So we're going to do a lot more for those races in the upcoming year. So hopefully we'll see more participants in that. I feel like that's a really good market that we have here that we're gonna try to put more effort into, more attention into. So that's the Turkey Trot. So that rolls us into December, which we had the Christmas in the Park on December 1st. We had probably one of the biggest decorated with the new fire pits, the tree, biggest decorated, that probably wasn't grammatically correct, but.
The fire pits had tremendous
Yes.
feedback. Like, that was a great addition, I think,
So
to that.
the park is, there's more, fuller is not another word that I want to say, but I'm lacking words right now.
I'm with it. Fuller.
Fuller.
Fuller works good.
Words are fun. So the Christmas in the Park was a hit. We rolled that into the Festival of Lights on December 3rd. That was, again, despite the rain, I feel like a really good turnout. People showed up in the rain for that event. Like,
It was
that's
very, very busy.
yes.
Did we happen to put a trail counter up, like I know we have in kind of years past, to see the amount of volume or participation that has gone through Wingfield Park for the display of lights?
We did not.
Okay. Is that something that we can request be done in
Yes.
upcoming years, please?
Then rolling into the Christmas light tour, that app went live, I think, the 1st of December. It ends January 15th. We have 8 entries, I believe, for the Christmas house, and that goes through outside of all of Lincoln County for the decorations. And P&M sponsored the prizes for that, and we'll be announcing the winners that following Monday. And the Christmas drone show was December 15th. We paired it with a drive-in movie. And normally our drive-in movies are not well attended, and that one was packed. I don't know if anyone was able to go see, but pretty much all of White Mountain was watching the movie and then cycled into watching the drone show.
How
We were
fun.
able to customize it this year, so we had the little R with the Christmas hat. We had a lot of kind of,
The movie we showed was How the Grinch Stole
Grinch.
Christmas, and so we were also able to incorporate that into the drone show
so we had
itself.
the Grinch steal a.
Yeah, the Grinch stole an ornament, there was the Grinch face laughing and things like that, so.
Very cool.
It was
Which Grinch, though? Was it
the
like
the good one, the
No.
Jim Carrey
All
one.
right, all right, all right. It's good to know.
My personal, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then rolling into youth sports. So we had basketball for first through fourth grade, started November 13th, ended December 18th. We had 180 kids participant. Last year we had 150 kids. So we are growing that and servicing not just Ruidoso proper. We have about average 50% of the kids that do our leagues are Hondo, Capitan, Lincoln
good.
County. So it's not just.
Did we expand that to, we had some Alamogordo kids too, I believe, or something? That's what I heard.
So we, in basketball, I'm not sure, in football, we had
Yes.
a couple, Roswell
Okay.
come up, Alamogordo. We're looking at some rules on that, who we do want to expand to.
Yes.
Sure.
It's probably gonna be something we're probably gonna cut off those areas that do have their own youth programs.
Sure.
And just service, like down to Tinney, but not all the way to Alamogordo, because Tinney doesn't have, youth sports, but.
Yes, of course.
Then we had adult basketball for the first time back since COVID, and we had 7 teams participate in that.
Okay.
It's good for our slow season.
Yeah, I would say.
So, we'll go back to the ice rink and kind of some of the financials on that. I gave you each
Thank you, Sydney.
of financials on it. As Sydney said, we've had 4,543 participants. 3,188 of those were out-of-town participants, so buying daily passes. 744 local passes, so that's about 10% of the population bought a local pass.
That's super good, I feel like, right?
Yeah. we're
Getting
very
everyone
happy
out
about
ice
that.
skating.
Yes.
27 people came and brought their own skates. The homeschool ice rink is 40. We had a group of 20 come twice, and we gave a discounted rate to them as the homeschool kids. They came and
Cool.
all skated together. And then local pass check-in, so that's after they bought their pass, they're coming back for a second time 544 times. So, so that brings out our net sales on that is going to be $71,504 is what we've made for that. After taking away our expenses, which is $43,400, it leaves us with a profit of $28,324 so far as of yesterday. We do expect that to go up tremendously for next year. As you see on our expenses, our 2 major expenses are generator rental and then fuel costs for that generator. Within this next year, we're going to be putting power into Wingfield Park, 3-phase 440 power into Wingfield Park, where we can just hook it directly into power so we don't have to have the generator.
I think that's great.
And so that will save on that generator and fuel cost tremendously. So that's for the full time we're open. It's the second page. This was just for December 16th through January 2nd. So the quote unquote Christmas break. For the 2 weeks of Christmas break, you'll see that our sales for that were our net sales were $48,606. So over half of our sales have come from that 2-week time period.
Wow.
And we had 2,972 participants. 2,221 of those are from, outside the area, non-local participants. So, I think it's a great asset. Now, this profit loss does not include the expense of buying the ice rink. That's something that we'll kind of at the end of every year, whatever our profit is, I'll take off of the expense, and I expect us to pay off the ice rink in less than 5 years.
What's involved in the ice rink? The boards?
So there's boards, there's a kind of a rubber tubing that goes underneath the ice that glycol runs through. There's a large chiller that chills that glycol down to about negative 15 degrees and pushes it through those tubes, and that's what actually freezes the ice. We have 3 cabinets of ice skates, and then, of course, the paneling around the side of it and things like that.
It's,
But being a Canadian, I mean, we built them in our backyard.
Yeah, you're able to do natural ones up
We
there.
didn't need the glycol.
I
Yeah,
mean, Ma, we expect you to see you out there on the Zamboni just carving it up, dude.
Was it half a Zamboni?
not yet.
I have a
That's my
shovel.
goals.
Yeah, have a shovel and a water hose.
Yep.
So I think what you're telling us is all in all, this was a great investment and talk about a wonderful amount of participants, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we're expecting over 5,000 by the end of, it goes through the end of this month, so.
Anything that we can use to reflect on, any changes, any additional support and or Tools, would you need other tools for?
So we're gonna evaluate at the end of this, kind of, we can look at the edges of our season and see if we do need to be open as long, or, it's like, for example, the first 2 weeks of our season, we had very few participants, very few. So it's something that, do we push off opening until the Christmas in the Park, December 1st, and have a big shebang, and that's when it opens and everything? Some of the other things, are a Zamboni. They do make small ride-on, like the little ride-on floor scrubbers. They make Zambonis those size that will fit on the ice rink.
Oh, wow.
And so that will make the ice
I'm in.
surface tremendously better from what we can do with hand tools right now.
Did we have any complaints about the condition of the ice and or skatability of the terrain, anything like that throughout the season?
We were able to add those windscreens. I don't know if y'all have been out there. Last year, we didn't have the windscreens on the
South side.
south side of the pavilion. The sun hurt it last year. We were fighting cracks all year. With those, there was one scenario where it melted a little bit, and that was last Saturday when we were in the 60s, and we still kept it froze. We were able to block off this little area because there's only like a triangle where the sun hits, and that was made a huge difference.
So would more wind or sunshade, there's sunshades?
Yeah, there's sunshades.
Would
I mean,
applying more of those help at all?
where you
Not
would.
really.
But that was just the biggest learning point from the past years.
That was that was the big learning curve from this year?
And the only complaints I've really heard about the ice were from, honestly, were from.
A man that fell and got embarrassed.
Yeah, grown men that couldn't skate, and their daughters or wives could skate really well, and they got embarrassed. And we had one gentleman fell pretty hard, and his two daughters and wife laughed at him. And he stormed off the ice, took his skates off, and declared that that was the worst ice he had ever been on, and went sitting in his truck until his daughters got done skating, which is just kind of a funny. I was like, well, maybe you're just not that good at skating.
Yeah.
But that was really the only complaint we had.
Yeah.
I would like to see the ice a little bit better condition, but it's with hand tools. It was in good condition before.
At the end of the day, it gets a little powdery, but that is again just.
Would the little mini Zamboni correct that?
Tremendously.
How much does that unit cost? Have we done any research on it?
I don't have a cost estimate on it yet.
Okay, good to know though.
Yeah, the mini MPU.
I don't think I have any more questions about the ice rink. No? Is that all you got for us, Parks and Rec?
Yes, sir.
I was gonna ask a quick question. Did you say you had a winner of the lights parade?
The parade was done by the chamber. Y'all had the winner of the parade. The light, the house, so we decorated. That is, voting is open for another week. So next Monday, we will announce the winner for that.
Okay.
We kind of ended on Martin Luther King Day, just kind of traditionally.
Thank you, Parks and Rec.
Awesome. Thank y'all.
Keep up the great work, guys. Let's move on over to the Convention Center, Wingfield House Heritage Center, and Visitor Centers.
Mr. Chairman, members, in the interest of time, I'm going to just do a really quick update on things. This last quarter, it's, the end of the year. Typically, we don't see a lot of what I would consider A-type groups coming in to the convention center. We do have a lot of events, some really good ones, like our Christmas Jubilee this year was phenomenal. I mean, the turnout on Saturday was insane. Even on Friday, when the doors opened, the place was packed out. So the chamber and their greeters did a great job on that. We also had a Christmas affair again, which was a really good event, a gun show early in November. And then right after those events, we actually kind of shut the convention center down to complete some pretty serious renovations in rooms 4, 5, and 6, which is the carpeted area, and in the exhibit hall. And we are literally finishing that up today. So if you guys want to come by and check it out, we're actually way ahead of schedule. Some of the things we did, it seems like not as important, but we taped and retextured all of the walls in room 4, 5, and 6, repainted them, added new cove base, and really tied the rooms together. It looks a lot better now. We had the wallpaper that was on there was getting pretty old and pretty ratty. So then in the exhibit hall, there were some legacy issues. We went in and we painted it sounds again kind of strange, all of the I-beams on top, as well as all of the insulation behind them. So there was a lot of overspray from where they had textured and painted last time. It just kind of looked unsightly. We did that. We also added replaced the large roll-up door in the back, which was 30-plus years old, painted the other roll-up doors to closely match that color, although we are going to look to replace those probably in the next year or two and get the same factory baked-on enamel paint so it'll all look the same. Repainted all the doors, the door frames, all of that in the exhibit hall, and it just looks a lot better, and I'm really excited about showing it off this next year. We already have quite a bit of increase in some of our A-type groups going into this year, and I'm excited some new groups coming in, but lots of repeat groups. So it's going to be a good year at the convention center all around. I'm excited about it. So, and we intend on this year our rates they typically go up based on the increase in, what's the word I'm looking for, Judy? The increase we use, the metric. Yeah, the CPI increase. And this year, the CPI increase is significantly higher than it has been in the past. And I think the convention center, right now, it's a value for what you get. So I'm happy that it's going to be increasing probably somewhere in the 6 to 7% range, which will help with our operating costs and getting us closer to that break-even number that we want to get to. So we're pretty excited about that. So so if you guys want to come by, check out the additions or the renovations. We're ready to be open for business. We got some events coming in next week and moving on. So moving on to the Wingfield House Heritage Center. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to this committee for supporting the work down there. I really appreciate it. We are really moving into the final phases now this week already. We've got a crew of 4 or 5 guys from White Sands working down there every single day. And every time I go down there, there's something new there. Yesterday, the electrician was there. We've got all the major electrical work roughed in, all the plumbing roughed in, all the interior walls have been framed out. So it's actually starting to look like the museum. So which means I got to get on my job to get it filled with stuff. So so I really do think, barring any sort of major catastrophe, knock on wood, we will be open by the spring, late spring at the latest. I'm really excited about that. So there's probably going to be some delays in getting the parking lot paved and things like that, just because of concrete curing issues in the winter. But the interior stuff is going to be done. So we're excited about that, and we're starting to order exhibit furniture, finalize design for that. So our new curator, Stephanie Bilbro, is on board now, and she's working with me directly on all that stuff. So we're moving along really great. I'm excited about it. The other day, I had parked down in Midtown and was checking on the speakers down there. And just I'd actually never, well, it'd been a while, I'd never walked from Midtown up to the Heritage Center, and I just did it. It took me 4.5 minutes. And I wasn't moving very quickly. So, once we get that open, the sidewalk projects we're working on, the work we're doing up at the Circle and Upper Canyon, I think the extension of that district is just going to happen naturally. And I'm excited for the businesses down there, and we're just excited to get that building open. So, yeah. And then moving on to the visitor centers. So the Billy the Kid Visitor Center, we're about to start work on that project to fix the front of that building that's pretty heavily damaged. We're not going to have to close the building down. We've worked with White Sands Construction. They don't have any issue with working around it, so it'll be open, and it'll all be done well prior to spring break. So we're in good shape there too. So a lot of good things going on, and yeah. So for that, I'll stand for questions.
Any questions, guys?
No? Oh, all right.
Thank you, Tim.
No
we
problem.
appreciate you and
Yeah.
all that you do.
Thank you.
All right. Come on, Chamber of Commerce. Tell us all the good stuff.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Did you guys get a copy of the stats and
Nope.
all that? No?
No, ma'am.
I do have to agree with Mr. Duncan. We talked to a lot of lodgers during the Christmas season. We keep an availability list, and we've never had a Christmas that was this slow. A lot of the lodgers did not fill up until right at Christmas or right after Christmas. They were calling and saying, "What's going on? Why? You know, my owners are freaking out because we haven't filled their vacation rental." So it was a really weird year this year. You'll see from the stats when they get back, usually during the holiday season, up, mid-December through the end of December, we will have walk-ins, we'll have 30, 40, 50 phone calls a day, and maybe 30-plus people walk in. This year, it was, we might have 10 phone calls and 5 to 10 people walk in. I don't know if people are getting more the hang of using the internet, and they're not, thank you. They don't need the visitor center quite as much, or if it was just this year was a really weird year with the weather and the last couple of snow seasons that we've had that have been really low. But if you look at these, for the Ruidoso Visitor Center, which is about midway page on the stats page.
Hold on one second. Lori, I sent you those documents that just came up to your messenger.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Continue.
No, that's fine, thank you. So December was our lowest month for the quarter, last quarter, which is unheard of in the past. We give out a lot of visitor guides, so if the people that do the visitor guide, which is Luana Martinez and Adventure Marketing, they bring us visitor guides, so we keep a supply of those. Lodgers or retail can come in and pick up those. We gave out 36 boxes in the month, or the quarter. We did visitor bags for groups, and again, that number's low because it is a low season for conventions there at the convention center. The Billy the Kid Visitor Center, which is more of just a walk-in, people come in to look at the exhibits and use the bathroom mainly. But December was lower than October, which is kind of strange, I think, out at that visitor center as well.
Significantly lower.
Yeah. And then November, I mean, we didn't have that many people during the Thanksgiving break holiday as well. I did put, I think Mike had asked about Mexico numbers, so I put those on the stats. Don't get a lot of people from Mexico apparently that come into that visitor center, but they're not coming that way as they come into town. So that may be why those numbers are just not as high. But
I mean, you would think from the volume of people that came in from Mexico this year that you would have more foot traffic.
you would think, but I don't know how many of them speak English, and if they don't speak English, they may not be necessarily going to a museum type.
We don't have any bilingual or anyone
No,
that
we
speaks
don't.
Spanish at the visit?
I would love to have somebody speak Spanish,
Yeah.
but I don't, yeah.
I would like that for you too.
So, just a real quick report, like I said, the lodging availability was just weird this year. Most of the, I think cabins and vacation rentals eventually filled up, but the hotels still had quite a bit of vacancy. And then we're looking forward to the construction out at Billy the Kid and to get that hopefully all taken care of, and not have to worry about any leaks and porches falling in.
Yeah.
The Festival of Lights Parade, I stood out there in the rain and I was just amazed at the number of people that came to participate in the parade, as well as lining the streets to watch the parade. We had some really great entries. The theme was Christmas in the Stars, so it was kind of a Star Wars theme, and we did have a lot of people that just went all out. Ruidoso Animal Clinic won the first place with their guess it's an at Walker.
They did so good.
And that was really
They
cool.
did so good.
And then, City of Ruidoso Downs had a great entry as well. It was just a really good parade. I was amazed at everybody's, creativity. And then we will do Lincoln County Day in Santa Fe on February 1st at the Drury Plaza in Santa Fe. We have already started sending out invitations to the legislators, to the cabinet secretaries up there. And I think we'll have a good turnout. We usually do, but this is just a really good opportunity for the people of Lincoln County to go up there, be able to speak with our legislators and our cabinet secretaries, and just have the chance to make our voice heard.
Sure.
And then we are working on our Vines in the Pines Wine Festival. We're really excited about that. We're going to have some great music. So far, we have about 30 vendors at that, as well as I think we're going to have about 12 wineries, at least one brewery, maybe another one. But that should be a good event. And then the Ruidoso Art Festival will be July 21st through the 23rd. We open that application up to the artists the first week of January. So that application is open. It'll stay open until about the first week of April. And then it's a juried fine arts show. So then we look at all the applicants and jury them in, and then notify them, and
I was going to say, yeah, you reach out to all of them and kind of, hey, it's time to participate.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do some advertising with a company that advertises to all of the, artists countrywide. And then we send it out to all of our past participants, as well as the past people who have applied, and as well as put it on Facebook and social media.
Wonderful.
And then we are still doing the Chamber Chat radio show on KRUI. Today we are going, it's not a live show, so we record on Wednesdays and then it'll air Friday morning. Today we will have Johnny Montoya from Windstream, and he's going to talk about their new Windstream fiber optic project that they're going to be working on here in Ruidoso. So if anybody knows anybody that wants to be on the radio, we are always looking for people to come speak with us on the radio. So that's about it. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't think I have anything for you.
Mr. Chairman, also on the Ruidoso Day in Santa Fe, do you have some events lined up for that?
Well, it's a reception. So what we do is we hold a reception. It's 5:30 to 8:30 at the Drury Plaza. We invite all the legislators. We usually have a really good turnout. They usually come by if they get out of session in enough time. There has been a couple times in the past where the House or the Senate, either one, will go late and not be able to make it by. But then we do invite all of the cabinet secretaries as well. And it just is just a reception. We don't do any formal speeches or anything like that. It's just more of a one-on-one networking event with
Thanks.
the legislators.
Do you have any specific items or agenda items that you're wanting to highlight during that event for our legislators?
We haven't really determined our priorities. Some of the really important ones that are coming up, though, are the minimum wage bills that are going to be in. There's one that wants to increase minimum wage every year. There's another one that wants to increase minimum wage to $16 an hour, which could really affect some of our chamber members.
I would say significantly.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, also we can get a white sheet, so to speak, probably for our capital outlay request for the village. And I'm sure that the village leadership would love to have some advocates up there as well, so.
Yeah, and it just kind of helped put a little highlight on some of those items that we wish to
And I do think it's really
pursue in the
important for the
future.
people of Lincoln County to come up. We tend to get overlooked when we're south of I-40, so we usually have a really good turnout of legislators. Even last year, we were the only chamber that did a legislative event in Santa Fe. And it was mainly Republicans that came by because the governor did have the soft I guess, rule saying don't go to any receptions. So we had one Democrat and the rest were Republicans. But we did have a good turnout last year.
That's good. So positive feedback from that event then?
Yeah,
Okay. And support, obviously?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we usually have the village will go, the hospital, Rio Doce Downs, the city of Rio Doce Downs, their mayor and pro tem and village, or city clerk will go. And
Cool.
a lot of people from the,
As long as we make a good showing, right?
yeah.
I think that's all the questions that I have for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all that you do.
Oh, you're welcome.
Miss Carrie, are you ready?
I'm ready. Mine's going to be super speedy because y'all are going to get a whole big dose of the agency today, so I won't make it long. The front part of the report is just a recap of the graphics and ads and posts that we've done during this quarter. And if I could call your attention to, I'll just call out a few things. Page 14, or slide 13 and 14, I guess is what it is.
Lori, do you have this document?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, Carrie sent it to me. I have it.
Okay, thank you.
You can see on slide 14, our overall impressions on social were down this quarter, but I just wanted to call that out because that's usually the case during this quarter, because October, especially with Aspen Fest being so early, then October and November until Thanksgiving hits, we're just trying to churn out content that a lot of it's not related to events or anything like that.
Sure, yeah, just posting to continue
Right.
to make posts.
And
And this is a reoccurring trend that you've seen in years past as well,
Yes.
especially during this time frame.
Yeah, but if you turn the page, our impressions were down, but if you turn the page, our engagement was up by pretty significant amounts. And so that's good, because we may not have had as many people, as many people coming, but their engagement was pretty intense. And then,
Mainly positive engagement,
Yes.
though?
yeah. And then the next couple pages are just examples of some of the posts, the highest performing posts that we did. If you go to slide 22, that's our website traffic, and you can see year to year, we had 194,000 visits during this quarter, and that's up, my old eyes, I think that's 38% over last year. So that's a good jump for us. And then lastly, on page 30, or slide 30, where we get into the earned media and PR and all of that data, everything is pretty status quo, except for I wanted to bring your attention to slide 30, where you see the circle on the right, which says if it's positive, neutral, or negative. And you guys are used to seeing a lot of green, a little red, and a little blue. This is significantly skewed from what we usually are, but that can be attributed to, it happens sometimes when we have natural disasters or in like what we've been dealing with in December. So that's why that is kind of skewed to more, but at least it's more neutral than negative, so those were the items that I wanted to draw to your attention, and I will stand for any questions.
Mr. Chairman, how many followers do you have?
We have on Facebook right now, we've got about 110,000. And Instagram, off the top of my head, I don't, Mira, do you know on Instagram? 25,468.
Okay.
So, there you go. 25,468 on Instagram.
And I ask, and believe me, I'm illiterate when it comes to Facebook and whatnot. My company has over 50,000 followers at Upper Canyon Lodging. And I always used to think, and I'm sure Hummingbird does, and Condotel has a bunch, and Is there a way to incorporate all that with the village, so village posts automatically go out through other?
What you can do and what we do is to kind of get that crossover is if you, whoever runs your social media, would like to share our post, then it's just a simple function that you share and it gets, shared to your crew. And then also, we're constantly scanning all of the social posts and when we see something that is like, oh, hey, this is very tourism related, and we'll share it out on our channels as well.
So it's something very simple for him to do. He just has to watch yours and follow the village
Correct.
stuff. and then he just-
Anything that the village posts, we should all do our diligence and share it, because obviously then that creates, just more views and more engagement.
And I doubt we do that. Well, I know we don't do
Yeah.
it, so I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody else does it.
And like
On
we
the
did it
radar.
with
What's
when.
I said, put it on the radar. It's
Oh,
a
for
good
sure.
thing for
Yeah, it
engagement.
is. And like we shared, when Mike had his whiskey auction, and that got tremendous feedback on our stuff, so, on our side. So, anything like that, and feel free to, give us a heads up if you've got something coming up, or, say, hey, our guy just made a post that's real relevant. Okay?
Wonderful. Any other questions, guys, gals? Lori?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to mention that Kendra King is out of town this week, and she had offered to send in a report and maybe be here via Zoom, but I told her we were moving into this workshop, so she's going to give a bigger report the next time. So, but she was aware and she was willing to come in, but we told her, we had a lot of other stuff on the plate, so.
We always appreciate Kendra's willingness to participate. That is for darn sure. Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate that. Any other questions, team? No? I'm gonna go ahead and. You need a motion? Let's make it.
We need I make a motion, we adjourn?
Second?
Member Robertson,
Aye.
Member Duncan,
Aye.
Member Cheney.
Aye.
Chairman Brophy.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your attendance today. Start the stopwatch right now. Yeah.
Just so you guys know, I got an appointment at 4